How are we starting this one?
Well,
Hey.
extra special, Hulk-sized,
Yeah.
Disney Plus sized,
Yeah.
green eggs and spam sized.
Yeah, lots to talk about because we missed a couple weeks. Sorry.
There's been a
breaking
lot
the fourth wall there.
We would be behind anyway. We're behind today.
Yeah.
Stuff's popping off like crazy.
So let's get into it. Yeah.
She-Hulk. We're 4 episodes in. We'll be 5 by. We'll definitely be past episode 5 by the time this gets out. But I love where it's going. It's a classic She-Hulk story where we've got guest stars and she's breaking the fourth wall.
So like I said before, I don't know much about She-Hulk past like the Marvel swimsuit edition. I never read She-Hulk, which I made fun of.
You're dating yourself.
I am dating myself.
No, but
when I had the swimsuit edition, I thought I was dating She-Hulk.
It was very much like in the vein of like the short-lived but beloved Damage Control series. It was She-Hulk was a great guest star in a lot of other comic books, but in her own comic book, it was always taken with that very lighthearted, what ended up becoming a little harder in later years, the Deadpool kind of vibe, and they're definitely bringing that. It's a fun show, man. It is a fun show.
Like I said, I was gonna say, go into it kind of like Moon Knight, kind of like Miss Marvel. No concept of what I was expecting. This could possibly be my favorite Marvel show.
This
Loki
is a Marvel
close second. I mean, they're having fun with it, and that's what I want from Marvel.
And it's owning it. It's owning the world that we live in. I mean, and the TVA sort of treats it as if it's business as usual in this sort of new weird multiverse we live in. And She-Hulk is definitely embracing that too. It's like they don't. People have noticed that they don't talk about the blip. The blip isn't mentioned anymore in the way that it was mentioned during Wanda, the way it was mentioned during Falcon Winter Soldier. The blip isn't. It isn't an. People have moved on. I mean, just like we're moving on with life after our big blip pandemic, COVID thing. People are just ready to move on. We accept the world the way it is in this new weird place. And She-Hulk is diving into that. Where like superhero law division, you just buy it in a way
it's just superheroes are a fucking thing.
10 years ago, it would have been high concept. Now it's just par for the course. It's perfect.
Well, and they are leaning into it because over the last couple years, people are like, why is no one talking about a giant hand sticking out of the ocean, and why is no one talking about mutants, or why is no one talking? They are, because I think it was it's either episode 1 or 2, they show a tabloid, and it talks about man seen with knives on his hand, which obviously they're alluding to Wolverine. It talks about the giant hand sticking out of the ocean.
And I never got around to getting that QR code on that right at the beginning of episode 1. I'm sure it leads to something. But
so they are talking about this stuff. They're listening to the fans. They're giving it to you. You just have to pay attention to it. And not expect every show to be a carbon copy of the next.
But if you don't pay attention to it, if you're not if you haven't seen every single Marvel thing to come out, you can enjoy the show on its own. And that's why they do have to exist.
By far.
That's why each show does have to exist to some extent in its own vacuum, and why you need to from the time that if you're a comic books fan, you need to know you have to suspend your disbelief about what the other heroes are doing during this particular hero's adventure.
Right.
Just assume the other ones are busy, they're ported off planet, and there's been a lot of really great takes on that about why Deadpool even makes fun of in his movie where are the X-Men? Oh, they're busy doing this other thing. But
because that's comics.
That's the conceit of comic books. It's not new. The movies aren't dropping the ball in their background of it. Like if you're gonna watch something, you have to assume it's either in a whole other universe, or if it is in the same universe, it's they're busy.
But I think with the She-Hulk show, the number one thing I want to talk about is the irreverence of what they're doing. That they're doing a very serious take with a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor, and the cameos, which they do a fourth wall break where she's like, what, you're expecting Wong again? Or, hey, it's Twitter armor for the next week.
Wong and Madison.
This is such an amazing show because it is the She-Hulk show.
Wongers.
And we're
Wongers.
Wongers. We get this crazy magician Donnie Blaze, who is not Ghost Rider. Please stop saying it's Ghost Rider.
That's Johnny Blaze. This is Donnie Blaze. But it's a reference. It's a nod. To
it
that.
is.
It's a nod to that.
But I mean, we get Abomination. Titania is fun, and we're obviously going to see more of her in the next.
Trademarked She-Hulk's name.
Right.
You know,
which is again leads us into this weird world of
well,
realistic superheroes.
It's Desperate Housewives of the MCU.
Okay, I want to see that now.
Well, we are seeing that. Like
yeah.
it's the She-Hulk, just in the way WandaVision was. It's a great take on. It's a great send up of classic TV tropes.
Yeah.
And She-Hulk is leaning into it. It's very meta. It's very cool. I basically look at She-Hulk as the sort of the damage control TV show we never got.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the elements and the humor.
Yeah. Well, and it could very much lead to that.
It could very much.
If they find a way to pivot what damage control is currently into
a more humorous,
yeah.
even if darker end to it. I think everything has to move toward the Thunderbolts. I think here's where we pivot, not just to the Thunderbolts, but to some of the more exciting stuff that sort of relates to She-Hulk and our future for the Avengers. Dark Avengers is holy moly.
Yeah.
Did you see the Secret Invasion trailer?
Oh my God.
With Nick, oh man, Nick.
That's going to be amazing. The whole trailer I'm watching, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh God, who are we? This trailer's showing us people that are going to be Skrulls.
A lot of stuff is dropped, so
Skrull?
there is a possibility if you haven't seen the Secret Invasion trailer, go watch it. I'm excited. They didn't really show too much of Skrulls. They showed,
They showed a group shot of a bunch of them, and like that was
well as a copy, but not as Skrulls.
Right.
So, like there's like one shot of Ben Mendelsohn or whoever being an actual Skrull, the goblin face Skrull, and I think that's to again bring people in who maybe haven't seen Captain Marvel and the things that you would need to see, which is basically Captain Marvel, to understand the Skrull. But I think this show is going to be a great standalone.
Yeah.
I think it's going to set up a bunch of stuff. It looks like the most exciting spy thriller since Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely in that vein.
Yeah.
I missed that. So Falcon Winter Soldier had elements of that, but it also was trying to be this buddy comedy, and I think
very
that
dramatic
was
buddy comedy.
Yeah, and so I think that they missed some of those darker, sinister elements that made Winter Soldier so great. But I'm excited for Secret Invasion is going to be all that and a bag of chips.
And
Ben Mendelsohn, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Kobe Smulders again.
Yeah.
I mean, and you keep bringing it up that these shows have to be a little standalone one-offs. That they relate to the larger MCU, but just like what we had with The Mandalorian with Star Wars, you have to give people that aren't diehard fans a portal into enjoying the larger world, and especially now that we're 10, 12 years out. I don't remember the exact date of.
Yeah.
And now, of course, with the Abomination in it, that puts us back to the MCU starting with the Incredible Hulk. Or, if you want to think about it, it starts back with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was before the Incredible Hulk, right?
Well, yes, it's Spider-Man and
so
then
depending
Iron
on where
Man
you
and
put
then
the beginning
Hulk.
of the MCU, you have to give people a way in. And Ms. Marvel did a great job of being a standalone but fitting in the universe. She-Hulk's doing a great job of being a standalone but fitting in the universe.
But if you don't know anything about the MCU, I think you could still watch Secret Invasion, and it would be a great sort of Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets, the Manchurian Candidate. Kind of, because if they go fully into that storyline, whether you're familiar with it from the comic books or not, but if they go fully into the storyline from Secret Invasion from the comic books, we're in for a treat. There, of course, the MCU is going to be different than the comic books. Great,
Which it should be.
because then there's still some twists and turns they could do, even if you've already read it, and you should. It's a really great comic book series. Like all the source material. That's what's great about the MCU is it's bringing people back to the source material to go read those classic comic books. And it's not going to spoil anything for you. Like seriously, if you haven't read the Infinity Gauntlet, go read it.
Yeah.
Like it is nothing like it is nothing like the what we saw in the movies, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
and it's more than okay, because I've read a lot of those comics, and I don't want to just see a direct correlation of live action, because now why don't I just read the comic? I like that it's different. I like that it's giving me something that's M. Night Shyamalan-ing me, where I'm expecting something. And then they're like, oh no, well this is actually how it's happening. And that's the fun part of seeing adaptations. And these are just adaptations of stories.
But we got to move on. So much is happening. You mentioned the Mandalorian and the setup on that.
Season 3 Mandalorian trailer.
That trailer. So what were those ships following him through the asteroid field? Very Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Some great imagery. Some obvious nods to things that they know that we're expecting, that we answers we want. Basically, the armorer tells us, and the visuals tell us that the Mandalorian. Din Djarin does return to Mandalore or the moons of Mandalore. He does, like, we see him descending into a foggy planet. It must be Concordia Dawn.
With a bunch of other Mandalorians in the mix and a bunch of other ships in the mix.
Oh, the drop ship. I mean, I think we're going to get to see a gauntlet fighter. We're going to get to see a lot of, this is going to be a Mandalorian. Season 3, if it's the last season, is going to be Mandalorian heavy. It's going to be all about the Mandalorians. Obviously, we see Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan, on the throne in Mandalore, challenging Din Djarin. So we're going to get. They're letting us know that we're going to see the conclusion of everything we've wanted to see. In the lead up from the previous 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Just constant goosebumps when I think about that.
So obviously we've transitioned out of She-Hulk into what was D23. Disney Plus Day happened.
Wow.
Coincided.
Boy,
I got my Thor: Love and Thunder hat on.
Boy, it happened.
We're not even really going to get into we're going to talk a couple highlights, things of the things that I caught, because there was so much happening. It's really an overwhelming day, especially on the heels of the fact that DC canceled their DC Thunderdome because they have nothing to talk about.
Right.
And Disney comes strong out of the gate and just says, hey, you know what? We have all the content.
Yeah, boy, and they did drop a lot of content, and then some. Rewatched Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm excited for, Andor is right around the corner. By the time you and I are talking,
a couple weeks from now.
Well, by the time you and I are doing our next episode in person, we're going to be talking about Andor along with the wrap up of She-Hulk. Disney is just cranking
lots of Star Wars news. We got some new Star Wars cartoons that are. We got
Tales of the Jedi, sort of a reference to an old school comic book series. That told that Tales of the Jedi was like
it's like the High Republic.
Some
it's
older
like
High
Republic.
It's like High Republic. But these new ones look really cool. Looks like we're going to get to see a young Count Dooku and his apprentice Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, and a younger Count Dooku, because they show us a Yoda with hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna see sort of a Qui-Gon Jinn Dooku origin story.
Along with an Ahsoka grow up.
An Ahsoka origin story, and I assume some other ones. That's sort of what the Tales of the Jedi, I guess, this time around is going to be, is some sort of canonizing of some certain elements. And I'll take anything from that Filoni style, the Filoni animation studios, anything they want to give me. Bad Batch, Tales from the Jedi, anything like that. I'm here for.
Well, and talking about the Filoni animation, straight again out of the Star Wars panel, we get confirmation of our Sabine Wren and our Ezra Bridger live action coming up in the Ahsoka series.
Ahsoka.
And they show us that mural on the wall from Rebels. It's just going to be amazing. And for people that are complaining that they want more animated Rebels, just be happy with what we're getting, because it's going to be
live action.
It's going to be amazing.
Basically, what you wanted from the last season of Rebels is going to happen in live action. With live action Thrawn, like the whole. It's going to be peak. It's going to be peak. So buckle up. There's a lot coming down the pipe.
A lot of Marvel. A lot of Disney, Little Mermaid trailer, all sorts of stuff.
Too much to talk about. But I am so excited for the. Did you see the last thing we got to talk about, because this is in the lead up to Andor, and it's all about Andor right now, or Andor.
Cassian Andor.
Cassian Andor. Obviously we're the very extensively long segment that they released.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, I did.
I didn't.
You missed out. So you definitely go watch that. If you have any doubts of how good Andor is going to be, go watch that segment. It's a good 2.5-3 minute segment. just sort of like really selling to people who maybe not aren't completely on board with what they're doing in this show. But I think it's basically gonna be the man in High Castle.
Yeah.
In the Star Wars universe, this is a guy who's gonna be inside the space Nazi party of the Empire, working to bring them down. And Skarsgård.
Yeah. Stellan Skarsgård is gonna be great.
He's gonna be fantastic in it. And Diego Luna is going to reprise a really cool role where I wanted to see more of this character, and so we're going to get to see his origin story. Go watch that segment. I mean, it is.
I want to watch it in the show.
It is tight. Well, you're going to get to see 3 episodes. It's fine.
So, I mean, again, there's so much to talk about. We could ramble on for hours. We're not going to do that to you.
You won't watch anyway.
But please watch. Please. But watch and enjoy She-Hulk. If you're waiting for Andor, go back. They released a making of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Mm-hmm.
So many feels in that, watching Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor meet back up. If you're waiting for more Marvel content, go watch the making of Thor: Love and Thunder. Go watch Thor: Love and Thunder. Stop hating on it. Let it be what it is. Let it be a fun thing. If it wasn't your cup of tea, I'm sorry.
Who's hating on it?
Dude, there's a lot of people that are.
There's a lot of people that hate on everything.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's a roller coaster of a movie. It's a very summer movie. I haven't felt like I was at a summer popcorn munching, 80s, 90s movie, and that's what it was a love letter to. That's what it, Ragnarok. It can't be Ragnarok all over again.
It's funny because people are yelling. They're like, well, we want serious Thor again. It's like, no, because you guys said that you hated Thor 1 in the Dark World, but now it's like you can't have.
I thought it was very serious. I thought Thor is Thor. He's always been the guy like ordering, having mead with Captain America's milkshake in the Avengers, even the most iconic and dark Avengers stories. That's just Thor's attitude that covers up his which they
his
handle
trauma
in the movie really. They handle in the movie really well.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not your cup of tea, then don't drink it. But we're not going to spill any tea here. We're just talking love here at Applesauce and Bologna.
Yeah. So
and we'll see you next time.
So go watch that. Go watch She-Hulk. Get ready for Andor. If you don't want to watch those things and you hate those things, at least watch this.
If they hate those things, they're not going to love Applesauce and Bologna.
Well, that's probably true. But until then, man, enjoy what's out there.
Yeah. We'll see you when we see you.
We'll see you next time.